When planning the road to success, there are a few steps to keep in mind. Identifying and solving the cause, facing and embracing change, goal setting, and being accountable. We'll talk about this today on Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. New and healthier habits lead to prosperity in all areas of your life and business. Now, here's your host, Chris Salem.
Welcome to Sustainable Success. If you're just joining us here for the first time, welcome. Found us here on the Lisbon platform that we've been here now since January of this year. And again, for all your long-term followers that have been with us, it is hard to believe we've been around for now almost 8.5 years. Yes, almost 8.5 years. Well, not quite 8.5 yet, but getting there. But nonetheless, we want to thank all of our loyal followers since we started back in May of 2017 that have been with us, and how we've evolved over the years to meet you and your business's expectations in taking where you are to the next level. Our show today is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it is a membership program taking out all the noise out of social media. You get to generate genuine and authentic relationships with the people you choose to interact with. And again, you can check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. We also want to make a note that, again, you could also now follow us on live stream here on YouTube with Voice America and Sustainable Success. But again, that is a new feature. So you can watch this show as we're doing it right now live on YouTube. And again, you can also listen to the show on demand on the Lisbon platform, on Spotify and Apple. Again, you could subscribe to any of those channels, and in terms of how you want to listen to the show each and every week. And of course, our Facebook page at Sustainable Success 2017, where we've had many of our great guests sharing their words of wisdom and insights to help elevate you and your level of influence to the next level. Check us out there, follow us there. And again, we are committed to you and your success individually, as a team, and as an organization each and every week. We got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about the 7-11-4 rule. That's 7-11-4 rule, how to create authority, credibility, and social proof. And in this episode, you're going to be hearing from our subject matter expert on a powerful framework rooted in marketing psychology that reveals how many interactions it typically takes to take your audience to know, like, and trust you. And you're going to get a blueprint for that here. We're going to be here with our guest, Cody Blocker. Cody is an Amazon #1 best-selling author and ghostwriter for over 50 books. As a certified emotional intelligence coach and former chaplain, Cody helps leaders, coaches, and founders to transform their experience into books and branding that build instant credibility, generate social proof, and do the heavy lifting of authority, so their brand speaks volumes before they ever say a word. And without further ado, we welcome Cody Blocker to the show. Cody, how you doing today?
Good, Chris. Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm excited.
We are so excited to have you here. You know, Cody, one of the things we love to do here on the show is, before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's topic, and you're going to be sharing so much valuable insights, if you could kind of share from your personal experience about how this 7-11-4 rule really enhanced your social proof and credibility, and how today, and how you swear by it, and you help your clients to do the same with raising their level of authority.
Yes, and I would say I've benefited from this just tremendously. Now, the concept, the idea, I was doing this, but I was just kind of stumbling around. I just do what works naturally, and sometimes as leaders, we know what works, but we don't necessarily know why, right? So when I learned why, the phrase, the 7-11-4 rule, or the framework, whatever you want to call it, that I have to attribute that. I learned that from a gentleman named Daniel Priestley. Okay, so I didn't come up with this phrasing. The idea worked for me, and then I'm just kind of using what I learned after that. So I was able to, my business was able to explode. I was able to create just I won't go into the numbers, but very more success than I could imagine.
Yeah.
Best-selling book in 4 different categories. this is without a website, without a real email list, without a whole lot. But it was this 7-Eleven 4 that got me to do that. So that's kind of a brief overview here.
Wow. I hope that is encouraging for a lot of the people that are listening that either are thinking of writing a book or now just hung up if they don't have a website, they don't have a
Yeah,
strong social media presence, and they're allowing that to hold them back, procrastinate, and how that
yeah.
didn't stop you from doing what you're doing. So I love
Right.
that.
Right. So for myself, the main thing that I'm kind of known for on the internet is ghostwriting. I've written about 10 of my own books, but I was a ghostwriter of about a little over 50 different books. I'm just a writer. It's one of the things I'm good at. I can write books. I'm not good at lots of things, but that's something I can do, right? So
Yeah, that's something
uh,
I'm not good at. I'm writing
yeah,
books.
I tell you, it's hard. It's hard, right? So people would pay me to help write their books, and so what happened with an idea of how this process worked is I wrote my books, and so I would get clients, and I would talk to my clients to build my business, and some clients would want to work with me, and some would say no. They say, "Hey, thanks, but no thanks, Cody. You're not for me. I can't afford you right now, whatever," and they would go away. And so instead of just throwing away that potential client or potential business, what I did is that happened at this one time. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I wrote a quick ebook. I spent probably about a week writing a book about everything that I knew about how to hire a ghostwriter. If you're someone who's looking for my services and you're evaluating, I wrote a book about how these are the things you need to know. And I followed up with that client who said no yesterday. I said, hey, I loved meeting you. By the way, here's an ebook I wrote on this subject. Hopefully, this helps you out in the future. Boom. And I sent it to them. And a couple days later, they said, hey, I loved your book. I actually do want to hire you. So the book became a way for them to continue to interact with me, and I could continue to build that know, like, and trust even after they said no. So that's kind of how I started. I went, oh, this works. I need to do it more. So
That's great. Love it. So let's break in. Let's, for those people that maybe are not familiar, what the 7-Eleven and 4 rule is. If you can
yes.
maybe just, break it down for the listeners and those that maybe are familiar with it, maybe perhaps you're going to hear, from a different perspective here. And, so you definitely will learn something valuable here from Cody.
Yeah. So great. So the 7-Eleven 4 rules, these are kind of 3 steps. Let's talk about the first one, 7. Okay. This is 7 hours. Okay. There is research out there that shows, and another way to talk about this is kind of this concept of this phrase that many people have heard, maybe they call it parasocial relationship, right? Parasocial relationship is a relationship that people have where they feel close to somebody, but they've never met them, right? It's like people who felt really close. They felt like they were friends with Johnny Carson for watching him for years on the TV, but they never met the guy, right? Because they spent a lot of time with that person or that personality or that face on the screen or that voice in the podcast, whatever. Research shows that you need to have at least 7 hours of content that people who are investigating, and learning about you and your services, or are these problem oriented people? Are they solution oriented? Whatever. But if you don't have 7 hours of material that they can't learn about you, you're probably missing out, right? So, do you have a book out there that takes someone 7 hours to read? Do you have 7 hours of content from your podcast or your interviews or whatever? Obviously, the more is kind of better, but 7 hours. If you get someone who can interact with you and get to know you within these 7 hours, they stop seeing you as a stranger and they start seeing you as a trusted voice and maybe even a friend. Okay. So not everyone has a podcast, not everyone has, YouTube channel, and not everyone has a book and all that stuff. But you as a business owner, especially with marketing people with people online, you have to have something out there, and it's got to be quality. So you should have 7 hours of content. Does that kind of make
Yes.
sense, or what do you think of that, Chris? Would you agree?
I think it's great. Yeah, yeah. If you could, go in and give some more examples of that. I think that would really help,
Yeah,
especially the solopreneurs that listen to our show that
yeah,
oftentimes get really caught up in procrastinating because they're
yeah.
unsure of these things that you're talking about.
Yes. So here's what I would recommend. If you're this is where to start off with. Think about this. Yeah, you might not have all the your maybe you don't have an email list, maybe you don't have or you have a small one, you don't have a platform. Guess what? You know what you do have? You have expertise and you have experience. You're a leader for a reason. You're a business leader for a reason. I guarantee you've got 7 hours of a book in you, and that's not 7 hours is it's really not that much, right? If you could write a book that is a simple 7 chapters. This doesn't have to be an encyclopedia sized work. I guarantee if I were to interview you, I could get 7 chapters. I can break what you have, whatever your business is, whether it's marketing or real estate or plumbing or basket weaving or whatever. I will ask you questions and we can break it down into 7 hours, 7 different points. And that's kind of where to start. You have the content. It just is a point of, okay, how do I get it down? And it's never going to get on a podcast or a radio show or a book or anything unless you can just start writing it down. So, and getting all that expertise that you have in your head from 10 years or 20 years or 30 years of business, how can you translate that from your head onto the page? It can happen.
Wow, great. Love it. And if you could walk us through, here, and I'm sure when we get into the second segment, we can elaborate further, but maybe talking about the process a
Yeah.
little bit, because a lot of times people, they don't start because they become overwhelmed with the end result rather than
Yeah.
now, where do I start? Like that's where I got to
Right.
focus my attention.
Yes. Yeah. So whether it is, and keep what I'm going to talk about as a framework again, we're going to talk about, I'm going to use a book as an example because that's kind of my wheelhouse. But the same thing applies for a radio show, podcast, a course, anything that you can use to get your expertise out there. Okay. Email sequence, whatever. But think about it this way. A huge reason why this doesn't happen is because people don't know where to start and they don't know what they don't know. And that's okay. I didn't know that until I started. Here's a couple numbers that were helpful. This is New York Times research. 83% of people want to write a book, okay, in their head. That maybe they've never told anyone, but 83% of people want to write a book, but less than 1% of people actually do. Okay, because it is can be a difficult endeavor if you don't know where to start. If you know where to start, it's super easy. So when you do this, when you finish this book and you show it to someone or sell it or whatever, you gain instant credibility because people subconsciously go, "Oh, this is a guy who
Yeah.
did the thing that I wanted to do." Right?
Yeah.
So
Something
even
I've been afraid to do, but hey, they
yeah,
did it.
you forget about the content of the book. You're now seen as a person who can complete a project and do something they want to do, and you can organize information. I could go on and on. Think about the credibility that's already developed in this person's mind before they even read the book.
Yeah.
So, and I shared that because that is almost more important than the actual content of the book, if that makes sense. People focus too much on the content and they worry and they're like, Cody, I don't have 7 hours. I don't have 7 chapters. I don't have 30,000 words. And I'm not saying we have mediocrity and we write slop. I'm not. The content is important, but you're missing the concept. You can get 30,000 words down, and how you do it. Now, if you're a writer, you need to start with. It's just a 3-step process: outline, writing, and then editing. It's easy when you're a writer. If you're not a writer, that's not helpful. So if you're not a writer, what it begins with is an interview. Okay. Someone like me or somebody like Chris and says, hey, all we're going to do is we're just going to record for an hour and a half. We're going to record for 90 minutes and I'm going to do nothing but ask you about whatever you're passionate about, whatever your expertise is. No outline, no structure. This is not an audiobook where you're just you're getting words out there and you record that. You record it on Zoom or whatever. So you just vomit it all out, get it on on recorded somehow. That is because that's the thing. I guarantee you've been doing that for years. You talk about your product, you talk about your business, you talk about your expertise, you tell your stories. Start with that. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to become, J.R.R. Tolkien overnight here, right? You just need to talk about your expertise and get the words out. That is step one. If you can do that for like 90 minutes, I guarantee you, you have 7 hours worth of content. I know that math doesn't make sense, but it will here in just a second. Then you take that 90 minutes or an hour, whatever you have, then you take that, transcribe it, AI quick transcribe. You just, hey, give me the words, take the audio, make it words. Okay. This gives you a document of those words. And there's different ways. Now we have to edit. This is draft 2. Books are not written. Okay. That's an important thing. No book is ever written. A book is rewritten. Okay. There has to be stages here. And again, this can be overwhelming for people, but you have your stage 1 is that audio. Stage 2 is a transcript. Stage 3 is editing, meaning you're going to either edit it or have someone help you edit it, go through and just clean it up a little bit. It doesn't need to be perfect, but you're taking the low hanging fruit, and maybe it was 20,000 words. Now we're going to edit it down to 15,000 or something like that. So that's kind of a first 3-step process. And then there's a few more after that I'll go on to, but I wanted to pause. Everyone's still tracking with me. That kind of makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Absolutely. Keep going, Cody.
Yeah, it's just that simple thing of how do you eat an elephant or how do you run a marathon, right? You eat an elephant one bite at a time, you run a marathon one step at a time. And writing a book is just do it one step at a time. We got the audio, we got the transcript, now we've got the edited first draft, and it still looks like crap. And you're like, what is going on here? It's disorganized, it's all this, but guess what? The best author in the world does it like this. Your first draft is nothing but a place to start from. Okay.
Yeah.
Next stage is stage 4. You're going to take that information. There's all kinds of editors, developmental editors, freelancers online. There are lots of tools. There are people like myself that do this, but there's lots of tools where you can hire people to really take the next step of copy editing and get this into a pretty almost done readable manuscript. Lots of people you can hire. If you do it yourself, great. But if you can't do it yourself, hire someone. If you don't want to hire someone, great. There's still options. There are some really specific AI tools out there that can do this for you. And I don't mean just copy and paste it into ChatGPT and make ChatGPT write a book for you. That does not work. That is not what maybe someday AI will be able to do that. But right now, that is not what I'm talking about. You have to have an AI tool, and a lot of them are free. Like myself, I used a custom trained, a programmable AI tool that does this for me. I just put my expertise and my knowledge into the tool, and now it does it on command. So once you do that, now, this is all, I guess I should have specified, I'm kind of gearing this towards people who are not writers, right? They want to write a book, but I haven't done it yet because I don't know how, or it's too overwhelming, right? Using AI is a tool. You should not, I want to be very clear, you should not use AI to write the book for you. That does not work. It's crap. Don't do that. Use the AI to help you edit the manuscript that you already have because you've already done these other steps. Then once you've done that, then you give it to your final proofreader. That can also be AI as well. Cover stuff is pretty important. But at that point, you start to go the end. You start to get to the end there, and you can read that draft you have. And when you reread it as like a new book, right? Your brain starts to go, oh, I was talking about this. I forgot to say XYZ. And you add XYZ in there, right? And then you go on chapter 3. Oh, I remember this, but I should have told this story instead of that story to make my point. And then you add ABC. You start to add things. And that's where it becomes a full book and this can be done pretty easy, again, for about that 7 hours. So I know that's a quick kind of overview, but that's kind of how the steps work. That's a very different process than me just saying, Chris, you need to write a book.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be going to break here, Cody. But when we come back, we're going to elaborate further on that. So this was just really, really some great insight. Very easy to understand. We hope listeners that you're taking notes. Again, we encourage you to go back, listen to this show again in its entirety. Just a lot of great information here, especially for those that are looking to write a book or writing another book. Now, you could take some really good information here of what Cody's done. He's done a lot of books, so he definitely has the experience. We got more to come, everybody, but we got to go to break. When we come right back, we got more to come here with the 7-11-4 rule. So that's 7-11-4 rule, how to create authority, credibility, and social proof in your business. We'll be right back after the break.
What is balance? It's being true to your purpose and not being distracted by shiny objects, surrounding yourself with family and loved ones, nurturing your spirituality, maintaining healthy balance of emotional and physical wellness, and being present in the moment. Chris Salem creates awareness about unblocking mindset barriers for sales professionals, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and all types of people to have sustainable success at the next level. The solution evolves out of the problem or challenge. The issue is that many people and businesses manage the effect but do not address the root cause. You now have an opportunity to live your life and operate your business in the solution rather than the effect of your challenges. Schedule a time to chat about your goals and the person you desire to be by going to ChristopherSalem.com. We have group consulting calls, one-on-one, and other programs to assist you. It will be the best thing you do for yourself to see how sustainable success is possible for you in your life and business. Join us at the next level. Visit ChristopherSalem.com.
When it comes to business, you'll find the experts here. Voice America Business Network.
You are listening to Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. Send an email to Chris at ChristopherSalem.com. Now, back to Sustainable Success.
Welcome back to Sustainable Success. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the 7-11-4 rule, how to create authority, credibility, and social proof in your business. Again, we highly encourage those just joining us to go back and listen to the show in its entirety here later today or anytime thereafter, as there was a lot of great information. We talked about the 7 as part of the rule in the first segment, and it's more fitting now that we go into 11. So, Cody, if you could share with us now as a follow-up to what you gave us about the 7 part of the rule, what is the 11 part of the rule?
Yes. So we talked about 7 hours. Okay. Now, if we talk about 11, okay, 11 is 11 interactions. Okay. 11 different touch points or interactions that somebody can find you on, I guess. A couple ways to talk about this, and the best way is to think about the last time you made a purchase on Amazon, that was over $500 or over $100 or whatever. I'm not talking about a $2 t-shirt or something. Last time you went to Amazon to make that purchase of something a little bit bigger or a little bit of not an investment, but just it's more than a $2 t-shirt. It's more than a $10 coffee cup or something. Did you just search that and find it and click on it and buy right away? Or did you search it and then you kind of read about it, you looked at the info page, and then you clicked off and did something else. And the next day an ad popped up and that reminded me about that thing. And then you go look at it again, you find it on Amazon and you put it in your liked list, and then the next day you go back and then you put it in your cart. And then you read some reviews on it. You know what I mean? Some people have different buying habits, and some people do more of that for, it just kind of depends on how much people do that. But everyone does that a little bit. And what research has shown, and this is research from Google, that they just tracked how people bounce around on the internet a lot. The buying process is not so much like a linear track or even a funnel. Yes, there's a funnel there in terms of a concept of know, like, and trust, but sometimes that know, like, and trust process is not linear. You just kind of bounce around, okay? And if you don't have the average of 11 touch points that people can find you on, again, you're missing out, okay? Now, it's crucial to know that these are touch points and not spam, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. Yes, advertising could be included in this, but do you have, are there 11 different times that people could find you on. Do you have enough on your website, or is there enough in your book that people can come back? Is there a review they can read on your book? Is there does it have a good description that they can read? And sometimes though, let's say if you just go back to one book, the cover itself could be one of these touch points, right? A review could be one of these touch points. The subtitle could be another touch point. The book description and add so forth, so on and so forth. Does that kind of make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Keep going or whatever you
Yeah.
like to share.
Yeah.
Valuable insights.
So repetition breeds recognition.
Yeah.
Okay. Repetition breeds recognition. It's similar to this, again, this concept of this parasocial relationship, right? Like there just needs to be an opportunity for people to know, like, and trust you. Repetition breeds recognition. Recognition breeds trust, and trust breeds conversions. Okay. So that's just a very critical. When I learned this, I was just very surprised by it. Now, I think this is a little bit. I'm not too familiar on the history here, but I'm pretty sure this is unique as it comes to the internet. So um, you can't have one, you can't have two, you can't have three. You've got to have multiple things here that people can. We got to get that repetition, and the repetition has to be a little bit different every time. Repetition. These 11 touch points doesn't mean 11 of the same ad or 11 visits to the same website. You've got to have a few different things here. Because when you do this, when you have multiple touch points, what you do is you create expertise, or you create the perception of expertise. And we'll define expertise as a high level of skill or knowledge. Okay. When someone's out there and they've got all these, you hear an ad pop up, you're able to click on it multiple different times and learn something new every time. It's social proof. It's a way for this customer or potential client or potential customer to go, this person has enough expertise that I need more. I want more. And so instead of me doing a 12th touch point, I'm probably going to purchase said product. Okay. So expertise is one thing. The next thing that these 11 touch points do is builds authority. Okay. And I define authority a little bit differently than expertise. Authority meaning recognition of the right to influence. Okay. So when you were in school and you go to school and the teacher stands up to teach you, you recognize this is the adult in the room, that they have the authority to influence. Okay. When you have 11 touch points, and if you have something like a published book, that person is going to give you authority, and the roadblocks are going to come down a little bit, and they're going to recognize that you have the right to influence. Okay. So expertise is one. It shows a high level of skill and knowledge. Authority is two, recognition of the right to influence. The third one is credibility. Okay. And I'll define that as you are now trustworthy and reliable. That doesn't happen overnight. You have to give them about the average of these 11 touch points. Okay. Expertise, authority, credibility, and there's one more. The fourth one is if you have this published product or enough content out there where you can have 11 touch points, you are now seen as a thought leader. Okay. And a thought leader is really an innovator. Leadership is leadership, but a thought leader is someone who's innovating and it's new. This content is new. These ideas are new. This book is new. These concepts are cutting edge, right? Nobody writes a book or creates a course or, teaches through an email sequence about old stuff that happened, 30 years ago, right? No, we want to read a new book. We want to two things. We either want new information or we want old information presented in a new way. Okay. And if you can have something that gives you an average of 11 touch points, whether it's a book, podcast, course, whatever, it brings all four of those things together: expertise, authority, credibility, and thought leadership. Now you've got all of that in one thing that someone is continuing to go through this know, like, and trust process with you. And for me and my money, Chris, I'm just saying, to me, that is way 100% better than just a bunch of ads,
Yes, I agree. I agree. And if you can maybe shed some more insight on that, just to get so people could clarify, because a lot of times they may get caught up in I can't afford ads, I can't, but then
Yeah,
they don't see another alternative. Like, hey, it doesn't
right.
have to be that way. Even if you had
Correct.
the money, that
Yes.
sometimes better off doing what you just said.
Right. And nothing wrong with ads, right? I use ads too. I love ads work. They've worked for all humanity. But like you say, if you can't afford them or it's just different, you're going to have a lot more than 11 ads, right? You need to have a lot more than that ad showing 11 times, right?
Yeah.
So ads are just one tool that's there. It can supplement this process. I yes, I'd like to say I've used ads, but hardly ever. It's certainly at the beginning. I never would have thought to pay for an ad.
Yeah.
I started as a small business guy. How can I get this stuff for free? So these four things. So another breaking it down more. Here's the other thing. When people see the ad, yes, it can be psychologically effective, but it's effective because but it also has this I don't know, use the word aversion. I mean, bad ads have aversion, but even a good ad, people, because we're in the state of the world where we are, people do go, it's just an ad. I
Yeah.
understand they're trying to sell me something. I just don't think it's as effective versus this kind of sneaky sideways, almost not manipulative, but almost a way you're gaining the same amount of credibility as an ad, but without that aversion, right? So for the person who that the customer who doesn't like ads or doesn't trust ads or whatever, this process eliminates all of that. You're getting all of the good without the bad, and it's
Yeah.
free. The negative is it just takes a little bit more work. It just takes a little bit more time, a little bit more intentionality on this is what I'm going to do and that sort of thing.
I love
And
the
here,
word intentionality because
yeah,
if you can control your intentions with this process. You can't control expectations because it's always
yes,
tied. But I love the way you said intentionality. So again, you adapt to what is. You work in with what and you talked about 11, and that if you have limited resources or you can't advertise or promote on a mass scale at this point, these are the things that you get you could be doing as part of the 11 part of the rule.
right. And there's two other concepts that I want to break on
Yeah,
that I
please
like to
do.
explain that helps put it. One is this. Here's the phrase: create the client. Create your client, right? Now, you can do a bunch of ads and you can go out there and find a bunch of clients, right? And maybe I get 500 eyeballs and I get 100 people that click on it and I get 20 people that actually show up and I get one person to buy. Nothing wrong with that process. There's nothing wrong with that. However, that's just trying to find a client, okay? You can do that, or you can create the client, meaning I can
Yeah.
talk to three people, I can listen to them, develop the relationship with them, do this know, like, and trust thing, send them the free ebook, send them to your website, send them the free PDF, or send them some things, or maybe it's not free, maybe it's the $2 book or the 99-cent PDF or whatever. Give them value throughout the process. That's when you start to create somebody. There was no customer that existed before this process. I am now creating my own customers. That's a very different thing than just sitting back and waiting for all those millions of customers magically come to you, right? You can sit back and hope and pray that that happens, or you can get out there and work and create your clients. When I understood that, that completely revolutionized my business.
Wow, that's fabulous. I love how you explained that. It made it simple to articulate and so on. Now, so far that you've talked about, we talked about 7 in the first segment, 11 here. What would you say with the 11? Is it same thing? Like you're not trying to do everything all at once, just kind of break into, piece by piece here.
Yeah, don't think, yeah, the 11 doesn't mean 11 different websites, 11 different books, 11 different
Yes.
podcasts, right? It's one consistent product, and yes, maybe that's a website or a book, but it's a concept of the content that it has to be a book that is good enough and intriguing enough, a good enough cover, a good enough title, a good enough
Mm.
subtitle, a good enough description, and some good enough reviews. That's like 6 or 7 of them. And even there's debate on, do you count, does each individual review is another touch point or not? There's some debate on that. I could go either way on that. But all those are things that are examples of social proof, right?
Yeah.
And so if it's just your website, don't have 100 things on your website. You don't need to have 11 different offers and 11 different pages and 11 different businesses. You need to have that one thing, but it has to be enough for people to come back 11 times, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. It totally makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, because you're not trying to be the jack of all trades, master of
Right.
none.
Yeah. We don't, you can't do everything, right? I get that, but you also can't just do one thing, depending on how you
Yes.
term one. What that one thing you do needs to be done well, and it just needs to have enough that people can come back and forth to you. Now, if you have an ad, that's great, or if you get interviewed on a podcast, or if you have a social media account, that helps, and that kind of goes into the next one that we'll talk about. But it's a similar thing there. The next one I would say is this. And if we have time, Chris, remind me. I don't want. Do we have to go pretty soon?
No,
Or
no, we are
what
good.
do we got for time?
We have a good five, about 4 minutes, so we're good.
Perfect. Okay. So real quick, let me talk about this concept. Here's the deal. It's not about the market. Okay. It is about your market. It's not about the market. It's about your market. The market, again, it's not wrong. Nothing wrong with this, with shooting a bunch of ads in the market and waiting for that to happen. It's a very legitimate business. However, for me and my money, I didn't have the time and I didn't want to wait that long. I didn't care about the market. I wanted to create my market. And I create my market by getting in front of that client, not being afraid to show my face, developing a relationship, hearing what they need, and then adjusting my offer or my product or my expertise to their needs a little bit, not getting crazy and changing. It still has to be my expertise, but I have to listen to those people and create my market. And then I find out, man, if that's what this person wants, and if I do that a few times and I start to see some consistency, I go, oh, got it. That's what I need to that's what I need to focus on. And that over time, now I can change my offer. I can create my 11 touch points a little bit different, a little bit more intentional, again, intentional, so that it really helps you go after and create your market. And then the whole concept of niching down or niching down, that's why that works.
Wow, that's great. I love it. I love what you shared there. And listeners, again, if there's questions that you have, feel free to. You're going to get Cody's contact information later here in the show, and you could also reach out to us here at chris@sustainablesuccess.net, and our team will take that message, and we can make sure we do relay that to Cody to address. We're going to highly encourage that you reach out to him after this show here. Anything else that you'd like to share? You think that whether it's examples or anything that you like to share, Cody, about the 11, what you shared with us in this segment, as we round out this segment.
Other than it was just a concept that helped me when I'm writing my book or developing my course or developing my website. You just have to have, it has to be big enough and good enough that people have to come back, right? Instead of a 10 module course, maybe it's three module courses. And because the person, when they come back to module 2, they come back 2 or 3 times. That's another way of, like, I've gotten 5 touch points out of the same concept. Whereas before it was just one, now I've divided things up. Or a process now, or my expertise. Now, instead of just when I maybe it's on this course or I write this book, I don't just vomit everything and throw it at you, right? It's too much. It's overwhelming. That's why people don't finish books. They don't finish courses. Remove stuff out. Don't add to it. Take stuff out. Okay. People are going to remember maybe one thing if you're lucky. I mean, if you're really lucky, they might remember 2 or 3 things that you're teaching, but you have to take stuff out. People retain the information better and they're more likely to come back. So if you simply just take stuff out, take content out, take the training out, take the words out, that's going to help this. That's another example that I used for this 11 touch point process.
Wow, great insights. I love it what you just shared. Now I know we're going to go into the 4 part here in the last segment, but so we have about a minute left, and I wanted to see if you could kind of just sum up, in like 25 seconds. So what you shared about 11 and how that connects to 7.
Yeah, there's a little overlap there between 11 and 7 because they can, the more hours you have, the more touch points you have, right? But the going back to 7, your audience needs at least 7 hours, and you need at least 11 interactions. You don't need 27, and you don't need 137 hours. Figure out a way with your content that you're presenting your content that you can get 11 different interactions in that 7 hours.
Wow.
Repetition breeds recognition.
I love it. Love the statement. Great stuff. And again, there's, kind of think about everybody about your situation, whether, again, you're a solopreneur, a business owner, or maybe even a business leader operating a team within an organization. All these things that are things that you can be doing for yourself as well. And you're hearing it from Cody that you don't have to be everything for everyone. You don't have to, have all your ducks in a row 100%. There's preparation, of course, but in this case, taking these concepts that he's been sharing here from personal experience and how it can apply to you, because definitely the 7-11-4 rule can. And we're going to get into 4 when we come back after the break. Till then, everybody, we'll be back here in about probably about a minute or so, and we'll be talking more about 4 as part of the 7-11-4 rule. We'll be right back after the break.
What is balance? It's being true to your purpose and not being distracted by shiny objects, surrounding yourself with family and loved ones, nurturing your spirituality, maintaining healthy balance of emotional and physical wellness, and being present in the moment. Chris Salem creates awareness about unblocking mindset barriers for sales professionals, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and all types of people to have sustainable success at the next level. The solution evolves out of the problem or challenge. The issue is that many people and businesses manage the effect but do not address the root cause. You now have an opportunity to live your life and operate your business in the solution rather than the effect of your challenges. Schedule a time to chat about your goals and the person you desire to be by going to ChristopherSalem.com. We have group consulting calls, one-on-one, and other programs to assist you. It will be the best thing you do for yourself to see how sustainable success is possible for you in your life and business. Join us at the next level. Visit ChristopherSalem.com. Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today. You are listening to Sustainable Success with Chris Salem. Send an email to Chris at ChristopherSalem.com. Now, back to Sustainable Success.
Welcome back to Sustainable Success. We're talking about the 7-11-4 rule, how to create authority and credibility and social proof in your business. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types and an opportunity to meet new people for the first time. Now, it also offers a new feature to their area. It's called From Athletes to Entrepreneurs. These are for professional athletes now that have retired and are now transitioning either into everyday life. That can be either buying a franchise, starting a business, or going to work in another type of career. Whatever the case is, you don't have to do it alone. Now you can do it in group or groups of other athletes that are doing something similar, and that you can kind of now help each other through your own processes to make those transitions more smoothly. If you'd like some more information, check them out from the Athletes to Entrepreneurs section of the alumnidirect.com website. And they also have a podcast, From Athletes to Entrepreneurs, hosted by the CEO and co-founder of Alumni Direct, Rob Finkelstein. Check them out again if you like more information, if you are an athlete, professional athlete transitioning into everyday life. Great information that you've been sharing here, Cody. Valuable insights supported by examples for the 7, then the 11 portion of this rule. If you can now go into 4, talk about a little bit about the 4 part of the rule, and then again, how it really, brings everything full circle with the 7 and 11.
You bet. Okay, so let's talk about 4. We talked about 7, which is 7 hours. We talked about 11, which is 11 different interactions or touch points. 4 is 4 different locations. All right. Now, if we're just talking the internet, this is something like Amazon. Your book on Amazon can be one location, right? That's one. Your website is another location. Then let's say your Facebook account is another location. And then let's say your email is another location. All right. Now, there could be more. You could have Facebook, you could have YouTube, you can have Instagram and all the socials and all the different things. But again, this is where the wisdom comes in. You don't go crazy. Again, I'm not saying do 100 different things. If you try to, chase 100 different rabbits at once, you're never going to catch one. So do the one thing, but within this one thing you do, whether this is your business or your offer, think about it. You don't need 100, but you probably need more than one. Okay. And research shows that if you have four things, that is going to drastically improve your chances here. Now, these locations are specific, meaning 4 different websites doesn't count. That's just one location. A website is a location. In people's heads, they just go website, right? A book, though, is another one. But if you have 4 books, that's one. It's only one location, because Amazon or a book, it's one avenue that I think of you with this content, right? So website is one, a book is one. I'm not a huge fan of social media. I'm not very good at social media, but the one that I do have is Facebook a little bit. But that's just another location that I can bump into my clients and my friends and my potential clients. Okay. So the other one would be, again, my like an email list. Like I said, I'm not very good on social media, but I do enjoy email. I like writing. I like reading people's writing. I connect with people through writing. So for me, my email list became a very big one. So those are the 4 that I had, right? My website, my book, Facebook account, and then my email list. But it can be a podcast. It can be a YouTube channel. It can be radio. It can be a PDF and then a book, or it could be, lots of things here. It could be a newsletter or whatever. The more places they see you, the more real and reliable you feel. Again, this is all about social proof. If they do research on you, that's one thing, and they find a couple different channels, that's one thing. However, if they're not intentionally doing research and they just bump into you and the algorithm shows them a different location, it's like, oh, I've been chatting with this guy on email for months. I didn't know he had a book. All of a sudden, when you have phrases like that, you're like, man, I read this guy's book. I didn't know he had a podcast. That's awesome. Those, it happens naturally, but it has to be different locations. Okay. Yeah. Consistency plus presence equals trust. And so you're not just creating content. You're not just creating content and throwing it at them and seeing what sticks. You're intentionally becoming part of their world. And if you do this, like we talked before, when you're creating the client and you are creating your market, not the market, you start to figure out that, oh, I am wasting a ton of time on this podcast. But what I found with my market that I'm clicked with, the podcast does not work for them, right? But that's what I found. I was like, Facebook does not connect with my people. I still have it a little bit. It connects with a few people, but it's not my main thing.
Yeah.
My email address is very, so you just start to learn that stuff. And then you can, again, cut away the noise and the junk that you're wasting your time on that's not effective.
Well, in this case, your audience. Your audience. Your audience is interacting on email. They're not necessarily, maybe they could be active on Facebook, but that's not how they resonate with third-party content if, in fact, they're going to take action on something.
Right. So if you put all 3 of these together, and if you think about it, maybe I have a short, before we talked about a book of 7 hours, right? Again, that's overwhelming. I get it. So maybe your book is 3 hours, right? So you've got a book and that's 3 hours of content. And that it takes that person 5 interactions to actually buy the book, right? And then that book on Amazon is one location. That's great, right? And then maybe that email list, that's another location. And it takes them, 3 or 4 times or 5 or 6 emails before they get going with you. So there's 6 interactions, and then over the course of a quarter or 3 months, they spend 4 hours reading emails to you. That sounds a lot, but over time it adds up, right? So the stuff kind of stacks together. It's a little bit of a chicken and the egg, right? Yeah. But the concept 7-11-4, 7 hours, 11 interactions, and 4 locations. If you use that for your plan, now you have something tangible to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do and why. And again, that's very different than, well, I just need a website and I need a podcast and I need 7 books and I need a YouTube channel and I need this and I need that. So
Yeah.
That helped bring me clarity, and that helped me connect with my market and create my clients, And the other thing with the book, again, this is what's really helpful too. People understand this and they go, okay, many business owners and coaches and leaders, they want to write the book and they actually do write the book, but guess what? They do it the wrong way. And here's just a couple other things that are going to really help dial this in. Let's say, now what I'm sharing here, this is the same for a course or a podcast or any other content. But if you're writing a book, most people try to say too much, too fast, in too many different ways for too many different reasons. Okay. So you have to, again, not add a bunch of stuff and throw in everything in the kitchen sink in this book. You have to take stuff out. And here's an example. Let me know that as I read this, let me know if you've ever felt this when you are taking a course or you're reading a book, right? And it starts to be discombobulated and overwhelmed because it starts off as an informational thing and you want to learn information. The author started writing this book because they wanted to give information out there. They wanted to teach, right? And then they also, in addition to wanting to teach, they also wanted to have this really brand new, innovative idea, right? And really just shake things up. But in addition to that, they also wanted to tell their story like a biography, right? So you're halfway through the book and your brain can't really figure out, am I supposed to be, learning a proven process, or am I supposed to be learning someone's story, or am I supposed to be throwing about my old ideas and learning new ideas? And the book becomes this discombobulated. It's just trying to do 100 different things. People try to put their whole life and their whole business and their whole expertise in a book. It just doesn't work. Again, take that stuff out. If you have that much experience and expertise, okay, maybe you write another book later. But for right now, this book needs to be short, laser focused, 3 points, and bam. You know what I mean? That, again, that's a very different process than just putting everything in the kitchen sink, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's the book or the course or whatever, think about these three things. There's really are, when we talk about expertise, social proof, right? There's really three ways to write this nonfiction book or to publish this nonfiction content. It's a big idea book, or it's a proven method book, or it's a my story book. Those are three different things. Okay. And you can't do all of them at once. Now, every book has a little bit of all three of them, right? It's an art and a science. But each successful nonfiction book or nonfiction informational product is primarily one of those, is either a big idea or, this is what you should do, or it's a proven method. This is what worked for me. This is what you should do. Or it's my story. You need to like me and this is what you should do. Most people just, again, really get that wrong and they just try to do too much, right? So if you take stuff out of your product, take stuff out, it will make sure your book is three things. It's readable, it's memorable, and it is referable. Okay.
Well,
I don't
can
care
you
how
emphasize
many.
it again? I think that's so important. Yes.
Yes. Readable, memorable, and referable. It's never going to be memorable or referable unless I read it. So it has to be clear and uncluttered and laser focused, readable. It has to be memorable. You either have to say something new or say something old in a new way. Keep it short, less words, because people can't remember everything. They can only remember one thing. If they're really smart, they can remember three things: readable, memorable. And that last one is referable. Okay. I don't care how many ads or the best scientists in all the world. I've been in book marketing for many, many years, and I've sold a lot of books. And I promise you, no one knows exactly how books are sold, other than word of mouth. Books are a very unique product where they are sold 99% word of mouth. So your book has to be readable, memorable, and referable.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. And like you said, I mean, it's like with anything. I mean, that's how you're going to, the book, not only going to sell more books, but now if you're referable from your book, that reflects in your business, whatever, or career, whatever it is, whatever the book is associated with as well.
Yes, absolutely. And when you do that, when you have your product out there, if you write a book like that, that is readable, memorable, referable, someone gets something out of it, man, when they do that, you just gain so much credibility. You start to think in your head, you go, oh, this guy's good. I wonder if he's got another book, right? Have you heard that person on an interview? You go, oh man, this guy's good. I wonder if he's got a podcast or something. You know what I mean? You start to, when you do that, when you start searching people out like that as a customer, as a client, That is this parasocial relationship of social proof and building credibility and authority and expertise. And that's what you're looking for. Just give them a little bit, take stuff out. It's that classic thing of quality over quantity, right? So that will just again, it'll explode your business and it'll explode your marketing.
Yeah, no, so true. I love it. Love what you just shared there. No, I know we're getting towards the end of the show, and you have shared such valuable information about the 7-11 and 4 rule and how to build that credibility, social proof, all of the above. Such valuable information. I want to personally thank you, Cody, for taking time out of the show to be here to share this and really simplify it for our listeners so they don't feel overwhelmed. They're like, yeah, I can do that. I can start there, and now I can maybe stop wishing I could put out a book or wishing I can do something, start a business, whatever. Now I can look at this 7-11 4 rule that can help me. I would love to make sure the listeners will have, will reach out to you. And so if you could share with us, how can they get in contact with you? What are you up to? And anything that you would like to provide them here as a special gift here on the show.
You bet. Thank you. And again, I know my process a little bit more, and I'm just an email guy. Okay. If you like what you've heard, this is valuable to you. If you'd like to know more, I've just got, a couple things for you. One is we have a link in the show notes here. You can click on that link, and you can get a free ebook from myself called Author Mindset. Okay. And this is just me breaking down and going in a little bit more detail into the stuff that we talked about. How to write, what to write, how to do it fast, how to do it well, how to do it faster so you can do it again. Click on that link and you'll get my free ebook, Author Mindset. The other thing, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. The other thing to do is just shoot me an email at info@avoidthefight.com. One word, avoidthefight.com. That's info@avoidthefight.com. Those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me.
Got it. Great. So again, you got two ways to reach out. Again, the link is going to be in the show notes here on the Libsyn platform. When you go in, you can read the description. It's going to be right there next to Cody about who Cody is. It'll be right there. And of course, you'll be able to find it as well across the other syndicated sources like Spotify, Apple, and YouTube as well. And of course, on our Facebook page, it's Sustainable Success 2017. Where you'll find that information. So again, take advantage of that gift. And for any reason, you could always reach out to us and we'll make sure to put you in touch with Cody as well. So that's not a problem at all. You can reach out to our team. So Cody, again, we got we did that in record time. We got about a minute. Anything you would like to close out in the next 15, 20 seconds to leave the listeners on a high note with what you shared today?
Guys, this is doable, okay? You don't have to wait 5 years and do a bunch. Just get out there, create the client, okay? Do the work. Don't just sit there and wait for it to come to you. Do the work, create the client, and you're going to be fantastic.
Awesome. Cody, thank you again so much for taking the time to be with us here today.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. And listeners, we want to thank you each and every week joining us here at Sustainable Success. We are committed to your success, both personally, professionally, and also with your business. Again, we are committed to bringing in subject matter experts like Cody in to help share their words of wisdom and insight, and most importantly, their personal experience on how you could take what was being shared on each episode and actually start to apply action and implement into your process. Again, if you like what you heard on this show, feel free to reach out to us, refer a friend, and again, if you want to get in contact with Cody, feel free to find all his contact information that was shared here in the show notes here on the Libsyn platform or any of the syndicated sources like Spotify, Apple, where you can find that information as well. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you here next week, same time, and take care.
Thank you for tuning into Sustainable Success. Be sure to join Chris Salem and his guests every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Business Channel. Have an incredible week.